Winners and losers, midnight class rework for range DPS only. What's up guys, Petko here. Yesterday we talked about melee DPSs and exactly what has changed for them, which one were a W change, which one were a negative change or mid change, but today we're focusing on range. I believe range are a lot more than melees, and you'll see today we have a lot of things to say, especially for some of my favorite range to play as odds. I'm hoping you guys not gonna be too frustrated, but there's some bad news, some good news. Let's cut to the chase and dive right in it. First, we're gonna begin with a balanced Druid because he's on the very top of the list. So balanced Druid, there's several changes done to the balanced Druid. First of all, Eclipse got reworked. Now, previously in the War Within, in BFA, in Shadowlands, you had a 100% uptime on your Eclipse. Pretty much cast double Rat, double Starfire, boom, you get Eclipse. Now, it's gonna be double charge or a singular charge depending on your talents. That charge has a 15-second duration or more depending on the talents, and has 30-second overall recharge rate. So pretty much means your Eclipse might not be 100%. I would assume it's going to be anywhere from 70 to 80% in combat, which again, in the grand scheme of things, is not that bad. It's going to make you juggling Eclipse harder. So technically, the spec will be harder, especially when it comes down to cooldown management. Now, if you're already good at that, then you have no problem, but if you're a beginner, you might experience issues following your cooldowns. Several more things to discuss. First of all, Mastery got reworked. That is likely the biggest change done for Balanced Druid, which is gonna make you have a faster way to do damage instead of having to wait Moonfires to apply, Sunfires to apply, yada yada yada. Now it's gonna be more flat damage. However, it feels like on those high level keys, when you have all the dots available before you start falling, your damage might not be that linear. Technically, it's a win for people that don't play high level keys, or it could be a loss depending on how you look at it for high level keys. So I guess not that bad. Yeah, I think it's not bad, especially if you're missing some Moonfires. I think it's pretty good way to make your spec have more frontal burst rather than having delay burst. I like it so far. I don't think the spec yet feels complete. There's a lot of things missing. The code rotation is similar to what you used to, except that you gotta juggle Eclipses. But overall, I feel like if you are lacking cooldown management, it will feel harder at times. Apex talents are good. You have good passive damage, good damage on demand, flexible for both ST and AoE. I like it personally. And nowadays you can choose between both Keeper of the Groove and Elune's Chosen. Previously we played Elune's Chosen all the time in Mythic Plus, but I like Keeper a lot better right now. But we'll see. Time will tell how these things will shift. In terms of your general class 3, very minor changes done for Balanced Druid, but overall, I wanted to see Solar Beam being actually baseline instead of being a talent, but yeah, unfortunately, you're the only spec in the game that will have to use your talent point on Solar Beam, and it's gonna be must to have it, unfortunately. Anyway, that's all of Balanced Druid. Let's jump on, talk about the next spec, which is gonna be BM Hunter. All right, so for BM Hunter, I don't think you will be expecting this, but the spec might feel a little bit harder depending on how you look at it. Let's dive through it. First of all, no more multi-shot. Previously, once you cast multi-shot, you get Beast Cleave. Now, there's an ability called Wild Trash. Every 8 seconds, and once you cast it, you retain Beast Cleave for 8 seconds, which obviously will make juggling Beast Cleave much easier. Previously, people have been falling out of Beast Cleave every single time. Nowadays, with the 8-second buff, will make it very hard because you gotta press that button all the time when it comes off cooldown. Love it. Next thing. I've already spoke about it yesterday on Survival Hunter, but Hunter's Mark got a complete rework. Now it's a flat buff for the entirety of the fight, which is gonna be absolutely amazing for raid. For Mythic Plus, still not that good because majority of the time you're gonna be fighting AoE, and there's only bosses that will retain the full buff of Hunter's Mark, or at least gain the full value out of it. I could see it being useful in some important trash pulls with the prior mobs, but overall I would expect it still to be a ranged boss-only thing that you actually want to apply actively. So that's about it. So Survival of the Fittest now is going to be 14 seconds. I've already discussed. The durability of Hunter gets to be better next expansion, which is a good thing for you because people have been complaining, oh, Hunter is all squishy, I will die all the time. I don't think Hunter was that squishy even this expansion, but people like to exaggerate. But next expansion will become even stronger. More passive DR or on-demand DR becomes longer, so overall pretty good. Bestial Rat now doesn't have any skill impression. What does that mean is your Bestial Rat will always have will always be around 30 seconds, right? So if you look at it right now, there's a talent called the Beast Within, That's 2 points. Once you have those 2 points in, your Bestial Rat becomes 30-second cooldown. Previously, once you cast Barb Shot, it reduces the duration by 12 seconds. Now it's gonna be every 30 seconds in, which means every single pack you're gonna have Bestial Rat, sometimes even 2 per pack, which could be very beneficial with Dark Ranger because Pack Leader got a lot more resets compared to Dark Ranger when it comes down to Bestial Rat, but nonetheless, a very good change if you are struggling with cooldown management on a BM Hunter. That's gonna make it easier for you. Dark Ranger feels a lot less RNG than before, which is obviously a good thing. When a spec is consistent every single time, it's always going to be better than having a complete RNG, casino spec, which is something most people don't like. Neither do I, by the way. So yeah, I think overall speaking, I could see BM Hunter retaining your easiness to play, but in certain areas you might experience it. It might experience its difficulty, especially when you have to juggle your barb shots. Like this season, for example, if you have played your pack leader at the beginning of the season, it was a lot harder to juggle your barb shots on different targets. Make sure you focus the prior target, no multi-shot build. Obviously now Dark Ranger is much easier to play and much more streamlined compared to pack leader. So overall, if you are playing pack leader, you might have some difficulties, but overall, yeah, I think it's pretty easy. Also, Stampede now is going to be your capstone on pack leader, which is previously a tier set we had this season, actually. The Stampede once you cast your Q command. Big W for that one, although the Stampede itself sucks. Anyway, moving forward, Hunter is going to be the only Hunter spec that has Execute. Overall, I like that because now they finally have a niche, right? So if you're looking for an Execute spec, especially when it comes down to raid progression fights, Hunter might be your go-to spec. Now, there's several things that I didn't like. However, I have to be honest. They wanted to shift and make aim shot to be an actual cast. If you remember back in the days, aim shot did a lot of damage, but it was long cast. Now, thematically, they're reverting back to that, making sure every time you cast aim shot to feel meaningful. Okay, so it hits real hard, but it's 3-second baseline cooldown. Obviously, hasted. The more haste you have, the less that cast will become. But during through shot, I believe you're gonna get 40% CDR instead of 60, which means your rotation will change during cooldowns. You might want to consume precise shots, for example, with your arcane shots, or have some in between. For example, aim shot in between cast something. Aim shot in between cast, aim shot, or rapid fire, right? Previously, we're just spamming aim shot, rapid fire, aim shot, right? But now you might want to consume the precise shots as well. Santino received a full rework, which is going to benefit both Survival and MM, but for MM Hunter, it seems to me at least Dark Ranger is still going to be your go-to spec for raiding and Mythic Plus wise. I feel like Santino has a lot more AoE output now, which obviously is something that we already knew existed. Wailing Arrow is making a comeback. Now, for the people that do not know, Wailing Arrow, every single time that you cast your True Shot Barrage, you have anytime during that True Shot Barrage a window where you press Wailing Arrow, and that's gonna be, so far at least, I'm unsure if that is correct, it's currently uncapped, which means you can interrupt as many targets as you can with Wailing Shot, which silences them for only 1 second. Now, the silence 1 second is useless, but that means you must interrupt everybody. I'll show you how it looks like. Look at this. So you cast your True Shot, you do your rotation, and during anytime during this True Shot, you can just cast your Wailing Arrow, and it hits apparently all the targets and silences them. Now, again, I can't confirm how many target does all target mean, but once I start to test next week, I will tell you if there's any cap to that. I would love to know. I don't know personally myself, but yeah, overall, the core of the spec remains similar, except that you're the only execute spec now with your Q command, Q shot. That's pretty much it. All right, mages. Let's talk about mages. Oh, we didn't actually talk about whether or not they were a good rework. So I think BM Hunter has been a good rework personally, although not really a meaningful rework, but I think same old. The same thing I could say about MM Hunter. I feel like not many things have changed. I'm just gonna type same, but I think it's pretty good. I like it personally. I'm just gonna type same or good because not many things have changed for MM, and I still think you're gonna be good. Balance Druid rework is, in my opinion, way better because it will actually allow you to have some skill expression instead of having Eclipse all the time. So yeah. Anyway, let's go to Fire Mage. Fire Mage, first thing to discuss, absolutely diabolical rework. Likely the worst rework received among all specs so far. They're returning Fire Mage to be something we used to play back in the Burning Crusade, where you spam Fireball and Paddle Blast and that's about it. And it's pretty similar, except that you have to cast Flame Strike in AoE. Phoenix Flames got removed, so now you're gonna rely only on Fire Blast. Excuse me. You gotta rely only on Fire Blast now as an instant spells, which kind of sucks, but mage utility or in general defensives got absolutely nuked. That goes for every single mage spec. So invisibility doesn't give you DR anymore. Mirrors are nerfed. Now you only use them for threat instead of having DR to them, so they got nerfed as well. Mass barrier is gone, no longer having mass barrier to the team, so that's 3 defensives nuked for the mage. Now your barriers are going to be a little bit beefier, and you're still going to have your major defensive cooldown, where like obviously Ice Block, but those 3 other defenses are gone. Alter Time could be a defensive, I guess it depends how you use it, and Frost Mage has double Ice Block, Fire Mage has Cauterize, and Arcane has nothing. Yeah, yeah, that's about it. Blast Wave is gone, so no Blast Wave means less crowd control possibilities. You won't have infinite stops. Now you're gonna rely only on DB. I believe Supernova is also gone for Mage. I need to check it out, but I think so too. SKB also deleted for Fire Mage. Hyperthermia also got deleted. Phoenix Flames deleted. So now you're gonna have only Hot Streak, which one I wanna fish for instant cast, and then your Flame Strike and Paddle Blast will become much beefier. However, the problem here lies to your Apex Talents / major cooldowns, right? So your Apex Talents are really focusing on your Combustion to be the, you know, the button that you press and everything just dies. Although your Combustion is every minute, give or take, right? The downtime between Combustion, not having Combustion, you would actually do tank damage, especially now that Kindling is a passive CDR instead of active skill expression. You would just do tank damage without Combustion. That's the most plain I could, you know, exhibit it. It's just, in my opinion, really bad, because instead of having like a spread damage profile, you're gonna have like very high burst into 0 damage, which means you probably want to play around Combustion right now a lot more than before. Something, if you remember back in BFA last season, Fire Mage full corruption items with like a big torrent trinket combust, something similar to that, you know. That's kind of what reminds me. That's why I feel like this Apex talents are a little bit not so great for Fire Mage, especially if you're looking to have more sustained damage. But yeah, that is the biggest issue so far. Mastery got rework with Ignite, so the Ignite spread now will be different than the War Within, which I think is not the end of the world. My biggest problem was the sustained damage, which I think will be a big issue for them. Actually, Supernova is still here, not removed. My bad. That's all for Fire Mage. I think overall, likely the worst rework so far. I liked the Fire Mage previously, but yeah, I think this is bad. Moving to Frost Mage. Okay, so Frost Mage received absolutely the pinnacle of the pinnacle reworks. I played around with Frost Mage and I absolutely love it. The pruning of the spells makes it, even though Frost is already easy, now Frost is not only easier, but you have to have twice as less keybinds during your core rotation. And I'm going to tell you exactly why that is. First of all, one of the best Apex talents across all specs. Ray of Frost is your major cooldown right now. Icy Veins unfortunately got removed. Not the company Icy Veins that I work for, but the Icy Veins, the cooldown itself got removed. Now it's kind of like a Ray of Frost is your major cooldown, and if you do Apex Talents, providing double Ray of Frost would be really juicy. You can choose between AoE Ray of Frost, pure single target Ray of Frost. Also, your pet will be active at all times. I feel like that will be good. It kind of resembles the core of the spec where back in the days you had your pet out all the time, do shatter, etc. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Freezing stacks and popping is your major thing to track on Frost Mage. That's something you want to be working around, checking up your stacks. Also, as you can see, I generate those icicles passively, and as soon as I get 5 of them, it lets my Frostbolt be auto converted to Glacial Spike. By the way, Spike now it's gonna be much easier. Much faster to consume. You don't need separate keybind. Your Frostbolt automatically converts to Spike, which is the biggest quality of life change for a long time on Frost Mage. Personally, I love it. So swapping targets could be an issue on Frost Mage. However, there's always going to be one prior target in most of the packs, so that's not the end of the world. Frozen Orb got also a rework. Now, back in the days, it used to be you had to be in melee because as soon as you cast your Frozen Orb, it had a projectile and it did damage right from the get-go. That's why I wanted to play kind of in melee to spawn as much Frozen Orbs as possible. Now it's gonna be on target, so you gotta have a target. You target it, then you cast your Frostbolt, so it goes through there directly. So you don't have to be in melee like a peasant anymore, playing half range, half melee. I think that's pretty good. Overall, the talent shifting has been good. I like it because it gives you a possibility to play hybrid builds. There are still few talents that are missing. As you can see, obviously, we're still entering beta right now. There's several talents yet to be completed, which we're gonna likely have in the next handful of weeks or even days, depending on when the patch drops out. But yeah, I think overall, it's amazing. It's amazing because they shook up the whole core of the spec, relying on Fingers of Frost mostly and just doing damage with your Orbs and Blizzard and Ice Lances. Now it's a lot different, and I have to rely on the Ray of Frost to actively do damage. I love it. Love it. One of the best reworks so far on any spec. Arcane Mage. Okay, so so there's several things done on Arcane Mage. I guess the most important here is your Touch of Magie becomes double stack. So you're gonna have double Touch of Magies, which can be problematic if you're looking to cast it. If you actually desync it from your major cooldowns, right? So what I'm trying to say is you have your major cooldowns minute and a half, your minor cooldowns 45 seconds, right? And you have double stack of those minor cooldowns, which technically will make you sustain damage better because you can plan. You don't have to pre-plan immediate use of your Touch of Magie. You can like delay it a little bit for like better circumstances or better, I guess better packs in a sense. What I'm trying to say is you don't have to specifically hold it for this 45-second window to align it with your major cooldowns. Instead, you can just simply press it whenever you feel like it's appropriate, and you're always going to have one extra stack there. So that's good. So therefore, your Apex talents are focusing on Touch of Magie, which makes you sustain damage better. So out of your major cooldowns, damage will become better. Also, you have a new talent which should improve your AoE. Arcane Pulse is called instead of Arcane Explosion. So you don't have to be in melee and casting Explosion. Now you're gonna just stay in range, cast the Arcane Pulse on target. That Pulse radiate, it's still cap damage, but it's better than staying in melee casting Arcane Explosion. Evocation got rework. Now it only gives you mana, I believe. It doesn't give any damage, which again, if you remember back in the days, people used to Evocation for damage before your rotation. Now it's just, now it's just giving you mana, which can be, I guess, blessing or a curse depending on how you look at it. Your major thing is playing around Arcane Salvo, which makes your missiles do big damage. Honestly, I didn't spend much time practicing the rotation itself because I'm still trying to get all the specs, much time needed to test out everything. But Arcane is one of the specs that I still need to devote more time into testing and figuring out exactly how rotation has changed. But overall, I would expect the core rotation to be similar, although Nether Precision got deleted. So trying to customize to all the changes done to them for Midnight. Overall, I would expect the core to be similar to what it was in the War Within, with several new stuff to track on and focus on. Should be an easier curve to learn, Arcane at least. That's all. I think overall has been a good quality of life changes done to the spec, and I'm looking forward to play it for you guys and test it. I think it's overall good so far. Okay. Next in line is going to be Devastation Evoker. Alright, so Dev Evoker has seen its fair share of changes, although I'm not a big fan of Devastation Evoker. I never really was, just because of your 25-yard bullshit. But I can't deny there are several good things happening to the spec, and I'll talk about it right now. First of all, Apex talents, in my opinion, are good because they give you a passive damage plus damage on demand every single time you have your major cooldown, and off major cooldown too. Now your major cooldown extent is uncapped, which means your haste value from PI and Bloodlust will be even better. Now back this season, people used to PI Devastation because it was one of the best PI targets. Nowadays, especially Midnight, it feels like it's still gonna be, if not even better than what it used to be, especially for those heavy boss targets, heavy single target boss fights. So that's good. Azure Sweep is gonna be your new AoE button. Previously, I think Azure Strike is gonna be converted to Azure Sweep, which obviously it's not a bad thing at all, because if you don't play Flame Shaper, you don't really cast your Fire Storm, which made Scale Commander absurdly easy to play. So they're trying to make it a little bit spiced by adding that extra button to press. Shattering Star got a complete rework, which is absolutely, in my opinion, great stuff for the spec itself, because previously Shattering Star was only used as amplifier in a free essence burst as well. Nowadays it's going to be implemented in your core rotation at all times, which is something that I love to see. So yeah, Eternity Surge is now going to be I wrote Big Bomba, but what I'm trying to say is there'll be a lot more included in your rotation compared to before, which is obviously a good thing, because the more channel spells you cast, like a Surges, for example, and your Firebread, the longer your Dragon Rage duration will be, and the more damage your Apex Talons later on will do. Obviously, it all kind of like always coherent in a sense of like makes sense of pressing it. Unravel also got reworked, now does direct damage to the shields instead of being an extra button. It was really annoying if there was like a shield, you had to play Unravel to do damage on those shields. Now it's gonna be just passive, which is absolutely great. And it feels like Flame Shaper is just dog shit. Like, I don't know, I played around Flame Shaper and it just feels so bad because your engulf now is gone. You know, previously a spell that I love to press because it did big damage. Now without engulf, it feels like a mess. Feels like Scale Commander might be on the rise, which I don't mind it, obviously. I just preferred Flame Shaper because of the visuals, but yeah, I mean, if Scale Commander looks to be the better choice, I'll play it so far. But yeah, that's all for the Devastation Evoker, it seems like. I still believe there's going to be a lot more stuff coming for the spec itself, so stay tuned for that one. Alright, so Augmentation Evoker next in line. Alright, boys, not gonna lie to you. If I have to choose one spec to crown the king of the rework, it has to be Augmentation Evoker. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, fuck this spec, you know, I don't like it. It's so OP, only abusers play it. Augmentation Evoker not only got most of the nerfs done to them in a War Within Reverted, but they've also got the best Apex Talents, period. And I'll talk about it right now. First of all, Ebon Might is a raid buff now. I know what you're gonna tell me, Petko, shut the fuck up. This sounds way too good. But yes, Ebon might now be a raid buff. Instead of having to apply to 5 targets or stay close to those 5 targets, kind of like a proximity based, now it just applies to the whole raid. Which makes it a lot easier to play in raid with. Obviously, you still gotta juggle pre-science on important targets, etc. But overall, Ebon Might management will be a lot easier in raid. Mythic Plus, Ebon Might has never really been an issue maintaining, but the Apex Talents will make you duplicate that Ebon Might and make it have double the value. So previously, I think in Midnight it was 8% primary stat increase for your targets, but now there's Apex Talents called Duplicate. While you duplicate yourself, your Ebon Might grants you 100% additional stats. So let's say you're granting 8% of your primary stat to your allies, you'll be granting them 16%. So 16%. Now they nerfed it from 8% to 5% because it was way too OP. And now they're making it 16% during your Apex Talents. Guys, I know what you're thinking. Believe me, I need to put my glasses on, by the way, because my head is heating. I know what you're thinking. I think the same thing. Augmentation might be on the rise, and I don't think I'll be you know, mad about it if it becomes too OP. But this sounds extremely busted. I can't describe it to you. Extremely busted. Yeah. So the defenses got nerfed both on Augmentation, Devastation, and Preservation. Your rescue Twin Guardian doesn't give a shield anymore. It's only a repositioning tool, which obviously is fine. Renewing Blaze got baked inside Obsidian Scale. Obsidian Scale obviously has double charge, but every time you press it, you're gonna give yourself kind of like a baked in Renewing Blaze, right, inside the Obsidian Scale. So it's not like a separate keybind to press. So that's one thing to note. Yep, your personal damage will be just as high. It's gonna be super good to play it. It will do a lot of damage on top of giving a lot of damage to your teammates. But yeah, I wrote you were broken if not nerfed. Much easier to play in rate. That's pretty much all of the TLDR here for Augmentation Evoker. I mean, I need to make a different category. I don't think it's good. This is I don't know what it is. It's just insane. Yeah, I'm just gonna type insane now. I'll give it a different color. I'll give it a color, I don't know, color of the winner. There you go, blue. Yeah, but it's crazy, guys. It's honestly crazy so far. I can't describe it. Anyway, moving forward to Ele Shaman. All right, boys, Ele Shaman. I know you guys been excited about it, so let me break it down to you. Ele Shaman rework is likely one of the worst I've seen across all specs so far. First of all, Echoes of the Grey Sundering. People hate it. It's gone. No more. Has there been any compensation buff due to that? Nope. They just deleted the most OP AoE talent without giving you any benefit. Massive L. Second thing, DRE. Every time you proc DRE, you get a lot of damage because of your Ascendance. Gone. DRE, gone. Elemental, gone. No more Ele. No Storm Ele, gone. Fire Ele is only available if you're actually talented. Crazy, right? Crazy. Stormkeeper, gone. Only once charge now instead of having double charge. Yep. Ascendance, nerf to half. Your Ascendance is doing half the damage it used to do. Wow, let's go, dude. Ice Fury is gone. I like that. Now, I hated this spell. I mean, I used it, but I hated it because it was bad. Okay, so not only you losing your more AoE damage, you're losing your prio damage. Now you have 0 prio. You're gonna be casting Chain Lightning and Earthquake. I guess Tempest can be your prio, but that's about it. Power of the Maelstrom got a complete rework. Sorry, Fusion of Elements got complete rework because obviously Ice Fury got removed, but that's about it. And I feel like the downstairs talents here are a complete mess. Complete mess. You are getting a flat CDR on your Stormkeeper instead of having it based on your Chain Lightnings, Lightning Bolts, and Tempest, which probably is going to make you play Furious Storms here. If that wasn't bad, they also changed the way Awakening Storm is working, and they also nerfed Farseer. Now it's only going to trigger on your Stormkeeper, not Primordial Wave. Speaking about Primordial Wave, it's gone too. Don't worry about it, boys. Everything is gone. The haste is gone too. Bro, they deleted my spec. Likely the worst you could have possibly wanted to have. The worst. They wanted to make Ele Shaman kind of like juggle fire, frost, earth spells, like an avatar kinda. And it looks cool in theory. It looks cool. Let me show you. It looks cool in theory. But in practice, it's total dog shit unless they buff the living shit out of the spec. I'm telling you right now. I am very depressed looking at this. Like, this is the only cool new spell, Voltic Blaze, right? Every time you cast it, you apply Flame Shock, and next time you get a level surge, it hits up to 6 targets, you know? It's still pretty bad. Obviously, if you play this talent here, Purge of Flames. It's still pretty bad, though. Also, they nerfed Lava Burst by 15%. Anyway, Storm Frenzy go to rework too. I think it's fine. It's fine. I prefer the older version anyway. Yeah, I think it's massive L. Massive cojones L. But one good thing is your Apex talents are crazy good. One of the best Apex talents so far. Just increase your overload damage by a lot. Spell critical strike damage, elemental fury also increase here. And once again, your overloads have a chance to overload again on top of the overload. So you're gonna be like a Zeus. But yeah, overall, big L. Also, Stone Skin Totem is gone too. no extra button of defensive, chat. Except that you get a passive 3% intellect. W to that one. Anyway, am I sad? Yes. Moving forward. Hold up. Wait, Ele Shaman. Dog shit. I'll mark a different color. There you go. What are we talking about? Shadow Priest. Oh, I have a few more specs to talk about. Shadow Priest next in line. First of all, Dispersion and Silence is now a baseline. You don't have to spend a talent point anymore on your interrupt. A moment for clap. Anyway, besides this, I think that is exactly what they need because nobody wants sacrifice damage for having a kick. I don't want to do that. Neither do you. Except that the only spec in a game that has to sacrifice, I guess not really sacrifice, but waste a talent point on your interrupt is gonna be a balance Druid. So hopefully, balance Druid also gets beam also baseline. So, several things changed for Shadow Priest. First of all, Void Bolt, no more, gone. They deleted Void Bolt, no more. I know you guys liked it. No way to extend your dots anymore, unfortunately, gone. Now, if you like tentacles, they made Shadow Crash, but now a big tentacle, watch this. Boom! Slaps your booty. But yeah, it's still capped to 6 targets, and it's gonna apply Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain to 6 targets, double charge, so 12 targets in total. It's still not smart cast, which means if you have, let's say if you have 5 targets and 4 of them have dots, and there's like a 6 more targets coming in, and you press that tentacle, it has a chance to apply the dots to the already existing targets with dots, which can be problematic. It's not smart yet, but hopefully they'll make it smarter. They'll make the AI smarter, okay? Hoping so. Yeah, so no Void Bolt means issue with extending bolts. Devouring Plague is being renamed to Shadow Word Madness because they didn't like the name, I guess. Halo is now only for Arcane, and Void Torrent only available if you're playing Void Weaver. So if you're playing Arcane Shadow Priest, no more Void Torrent. That sucks, I guess. Dark Ascension got removed. It doesn't exist anymore. Now it's gonna be only Void Form, which I think Void Form right now is kind of weak cooldown though. I think they should be buffed somehow, although Ancient Madness already is buffing the Void Form. I think you should buff it even more. Maybe give it like a 20% increase spell damage instead of 10%. That could be good. You can cast Void Volley during your Void Form though. There's still a bunch of talents missing for Shadow Priest. 1, 2, 3, which we're hoping to see some really good ones coming in, because right now the ones that are not that impressive, I guess. So yeah, overall I think Shadow Priest rework has been pretty mid. Like visually amazing, but in practice pretty bad. Moving forward to Destruction Warlock. Honestly, everything about Destro Lock to me screams like meh. Actually meh, you know. Apex Talents, meh. Not that good, not bad either. Just pass it down. Eradication got removed, which pretty much removes the last bit of skill expression done to the spec. You don't have to worry about prior targeting your Shadow Burn skills both inside AoE, whatever. You're still gonna be a dot spec, obviously. Once you play your Hell Color, you're still gonna rely on Wither to do your damage through Black and Soul. So kind of like a dot Destro Lock like we had, for example, this season. They did say that they wanna really focus on giving the power back to Rain of Fire and Bolt instead of having a dot base, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're achieving with this. It can't even call the rework. It just got like a refreshment in a sense, you know. So yeah, I don't really like to call it a rework, but it's gonna play exactly like it was playing so far, and nothing really significant has changed for them. Yeah, I mean, I can't really tell you anything more. They're trying to make Shadow Burn just a more streamlined ability to press, kind of like easier to judge when you want to press it, etc. So now that Eradication, for example, is gone too. Overall, I can't be too excited for spec because it feels exactly the same. Yeah, I think it's just mid. Honestly, just mid. Can't say much more about it. Affliction Lock. Let's talk about Affliction. Likely the best change they've gotten in a long time. First of all, Legion Affliction Lock is officially back. Right now, instead of having Malefic Rupture, oopsie, Malefic Rupture does not exist anymore. They scrapped it, they admitted it was total dog shit, and I agree with them, it was really bad. And now, in order to do it with damage, you gotta spam seed. You need to spread this seed everywhere, and not in a literal sense, but you know, in game sense, you gotta spread seeds to do AoE damage. That's pretty much what the spec is gonna be based on. Also, Violtain is gone. People hated Violtain because it was capped. It was 30 seconds instead of 20 seconds. There was no second charge, yada yada yada. And now developers are saying, if you don't like it, we're removing it for you. But how do we apply Agony? Manually. You gotta spam manual Agony application. Kind of like a Twin Moon for balance rate. If you people don't know what Twin Moon is Every single time you apply agony, you're gonna have a second target get the agony itself, you know. So let's say if there are 6 targets, you're only gonna cast agony 3 times to apply it, and it's gonna be a smart agony of amplifier, which means if the NPC, if he already has agony, it won't reapply it again. So that's cool, I guess. How do you do single target if no malefic rupture? Unstable affliction now is uncapped. You can have it to as many targets as possible and snapshot that one with your summon dark glare. So let's say if you can have 5 to 6 unstable affliction, snapshot dark glare, they all extend, bombo clot, you do big damage. That's how you want to play around your stuff, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, that's the biggest changes done to the spec. I personally absolutely loving it so far. It's one of the most cool shit that, you know, we had a pleasure of playing in a long time, and I'm looking forward to be testing this for you. All right, last but not least, Demonology Warlock. Demon was the last pick that got a rework, and they got a rework 3 days ago, I think. So Apex Talents are crazy good on Demonology Lock. Crazy good Apex Talents, likely the best so far across all Lock specs. Implosion now, unfortunately, got rework, and it's gonna be a 30-second cooldown spell instead of having it to be pressed whenever you feel like. Wildfire imps got uncapped, but realistically speaking, you can only have up to 8-9 imps per tyrant, which obviously I think is gonna be the skill cap. I don't think you can have more. Maybe late into the game with more gear, you could have more than, but I think 9 so far should be the cap. Visually speaking, one of the best picks so far. On par with Frost Mage, on par with Shadow Priest. It's summoning demons all the time to fight for you. It's insane. So Tyrants do snapshot pets on cast, which can be a very big issue because they did mention they want to get rid of snapshotting to make it easier for the players, but what they're actually achieving right now is snapshot is back on the menu, so you gotta be paying attention when using Tyrant. They want to shift more damage to Tyrant. Apparently, they didn't like that it didn't do that much damage, so now they want to make it beefier than before. That's one of the shifts done. But it's definitely going to be still a tough spec to master, in my opinion. Overall, the core rotation of Demon Lock should feel similar. There are few patches where it will feel different, especially in your soul shard economy, which should be, in my opinion, easier. But overall speaking, I still need more time analyzing the rotation and reporting back to you exactly what abilities or priority in your rotation, what exactly have changed there. So that was the spec that I needed to test more because they got reworked 3 days ago. So I only have limited experience to the spec, but I'm sure with the weeks to come, I'll get a lot more comfy and report back with everything else that I know. That's everything so far that I know about the spec itself after all the testing and, you know, talking to people. All right, so last thing to talk about is going to be Devourer DH, which is the new spec that is coming to midnight. Devourer DH is labeled to be ranged, although it is actually melee. Kind of like a Devastation Evoker, but worse, you know. So why that is? Personally, it's still a new spec to develop. It still hasn't fully developed. Apex Talents are still early on, I don't think finished yet. Oh, sorry, we forgot to mark the Demon Lock and Affliction Warlock. They're getting a good reward. So I can't really talk about much for Devourer because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of changes done to the spec, but you don't have any cooldowns pretty much. So your metamorphosis, it's not like Havoc being every 2 minutes, but instead it's based on how many souls you collect. So technically you can have your major cooldowns every minute also, if you're actually good at the game. As you can see, that's all the buttons that I have so far on my spec. They're not that many, but your gameplay is revolved around collecting your void fragments. After collecting certain amount of fragments, you cast your void metamorphosis. Your void ray is your main spender on your fury. If you have too much fury, you can press void ray. Void ray also resets once you cast your metamorphosis. You naturally gain stacks, as you can see here. What else can I talk about that? So you can collect your souls with Reap, or I think Reap is the only application that should matter really when it comes down to collecting souls. Consume is your filler spell. You just get to cast it all the time. your soul emulation is something that you cast before combats, kind of like a what do you call this aura for Havoc and Vengeance, the emulation aura. So this is something called soul emulation, similar to this, but you know, it gets you fragments, and then kind of like a Cinder balls, right? You can walk on top of them if you like to, but imagine you're playing Cinder in League of Legends. You just collect those balls, casting, you reap or walk through them. Once you collect enough of balls, you can get to be Void Metamorphosis, and then you can just fight through that. That's pretty much all the spell does. It's very mobile. It has a lot of ways to jump in, teleport, as you can see here. Has a triple teleport, backflip. You can charge in with the hunt, for example. I think thematically it's pretty cool, but I don't think it's finished yet because there's a lot of talents missing so far. And if this pick comes live just like this, it will be just very simplistic, I must say. So, yeah. I would expect overall to change, but the prior target damage of the spec so far looks pretty good. The single target, I don't want to talk about numbers, but I just feel like your rotation doesn't really change a lot in AoE and ST, so that could be problematic, I guess. Depends on how you look at things so far, but yeah, that's my first impression. I can't really rate the spec anywhere, whether it's gonna be good, bad, or you know, it's just a new spec, right? Just a new spec. I guess category of its own, I must say. That's everything so far, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and my ramble for the past 40 minutes. Once again, this was the end of alpha. Beta will begin in 2 days from now, so hope you guys stick around for a lot more testing to come. Once the beta is rolled out, I will be making sure to give you more appropriate feedback once we start to be testing on max level, for example, get to play Mythic +2. So I'm very excited and very pumped to get in and start testing. The document here that you guys see will be attached for you down the video if you like it. But yeah, like, subscribe, see you guys next time.